You have to connect with me, Joel. Mr. Palmer, again, thank you for joining in. Hello, Facebook. Thank you for joining into this week's Ask Schellie segment. My name is Schellie Fanfan, Instagram. My name is Schellie Fanfan, Facebook. And I am the proud owner and CEO of Ask Schellie Consulting, where through the provision of psychoeducation, I help businesses and many different business entities, including corporations, just get to their next level through the provision of psychoeducation. All of the things that help us to understand humans, what makes them spend money, what makes them motivated, what causes humans to operate in peak performance to assure that you're maximizing your revenue as business owners. How do we keep people connected? How do we resolve conflict? How do we identify those personality traits that we need to enhance in order to assure that your leadership is operating at peak performance? This is what Ask Schellie does every day. Love my job. I'm a licensed psychotherapist here in the state of Florida. And one of the privileges that I have, with the exception of changing this world, one life, one family, one marriage at a time, is asking questions. People want to know more about why they feel the way that they feel. They want to know why their partners respond the way that they do. They want to know about the world, what motivates horrible behavior, what motivates people to do the things that they do. It's just so much. And I love to be a resource to friends and to family and, well, maybe not so much family, but I love to be that resource and that voice of reason. And this is my life calling. One of the things that I love to do is share a question with my Facebook and Instagram family, just to shed more light onto some issues that we may know that issues that we have experienced, or issues that a friend or colleague has experienced. Just a perspective, some tools, some information to enhance your wellness and your emotional intelligence as well. As a licensed psychotherapist, I also have the privilege of working with people who want to heal, who want to grow, who want to break through to their next level. And that happens in a therapeutic process. It happens in a counseling space where people have consented to treatment. They have made the decision that they're going to go on this journey. They're going to break maladaptive behavioral patterns. They're going to break maladaptive thinking patterns. They are literally going to take control of their world by making a change that's conscious and a change that is healthy, alongside someone who is trained and anointed to do so. That is what I do. This is in no way an opportunity or an attempt to replace that process. So if there's anybody that feels that they need more help and they need more support and need more therapeutic support, you can always reach me at 407-350-5070. You can also message me at www.askschellie.com. You can email info@askschellie.com, and I will definitely assist you in getting that process started. So this week's question is about a woman who is feeling stuck. And for those of you who are listening, have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever been in a situation where you just kind of felt blah, where there really is no word to describe it? Thank you, Marjorie, for joining here on Facebook. Beautiful. Thank you for your support. We're talking about feeling blah, where you really can't put your finger on it. It's just blah. Has anybody ever felt that way? And so today's question has to do with that. And I look forward to hearing your feedback. I do invite you to comment, to interact, because we are all experts in our own right. We all have different experiences that are valuable. So share your experiences, share your feedback. Thank you so much again for joining. So this week's Ask Schellie segment. Dear Ask Schellie, I am emailing to get your feedback on how I am feeling. For years now, I feel so blah. I have no other way to explain it but blah. I am not sad, but I am not happy. I don't feel lonely, but I don't necessarily feel connected to anyone either. I am functional, but don't feel productive. I am literally existing. Just existing. I think I have hope and aspirations, but don't feel connected to them in any way. Like, I know they are there, but I can't identify them, nor can I stir up the motivation to pursue them. I am literally a body taking up space in this world. That's pretty deep. How many of you have felt that way? I need your interaction. I need your feedback. We are all experts together. You guys are my consultation team. You are my Ask Schellie consultants, helping me to assist people with providing a perspective that would hopefully get them along their way, get them unstuck, get them moving, give them some clarity and some insight. I'm going to repeat the question, and I'd love for your feedback. This week's Ask Schellie question is, Dear Ask Schellie, I am emailing to get your feedback on how I am feeling. For years now, I feel so blah. I have no other way to explain it but blah. I am not sad, but I am not happy. I don't feel lonely, but I don't necessarily feel connected to anyone either. I am functional, but don't feel productive. I am literally existing, just existing. I think I have hope and aspirations, but don't feel connected to them in any way. Like, I know they are there, but can't identify them, nor can I stir up the motivation to pursue them. I am literally a body taking up space in this world. How many of you have felt that way before? I'm raising my hand. I have totally felt that way before. Just stuck, like, well, I'm not really unhappy, but I can't necessarily say that I am happy. You know, I don't feel lonely. I don't feel necessarily connected. I'm just kind of existing, right? And so when individuals come into me and into my office, and they're just kind of like not really able to put their finger on what's going on, and even when they do, when they feel like they have a handle on what's going on, one of the things that I like to do as part of the diagnostic process is a wellness assessment. And that is just taking a look at where people or how people are functioning and in 8 main domains, okay? In 8 different domains of wellness. These are different domains in life that we have to be operational in. Domains in our life where we should be dominating. Domains in our life where we should be intentional about maximizing our wellness in. 8 different domains. And so what I do is I literally go through each domain to assess where the person falls in their wellness in that particular domain. And a lot of the time we start to see a pattern in the person's life that brings us closer to the root. And that is what therapy is about. Therapy is about getting to the root of things and addressing them, processing them. Will we always heal them? Will we be able to get complete resolution in those areas? Maybe not, but just processing, being aware, taking control, being intentional, understanding why we think the way that we think. How are our thinking patterns and our behavioral patterns, how are they connected to that emotional injury? The things that we are identifying as the root is the issue. All of these processes can be discovered through the therapeutic process. And so without really knowing this person's background, I don't know if this person has a history of trauma that's never been resolved. I don't know if this person has a family history of depression, if there are any triggers or recent changes that may have been bringing all of this on. But what I will do for the purpose of this live is to talk about that wellness wheel, the different 8 domains that we should be intentional about as it relates to maximizing our wellness. That's everyone, not just a woman. Everyone, women, men, even children, we have to understand those different 8 domains and the things that we should be doing to assure that we are thriving in them, okay? And so we're going to start with the first domain, and that is physical, okay? We're talking about the 8 domains of wellness that we should be intentional about maximizing our wellness in, the different 8 domains, starting with physical. So in this domain, it speaks to the degree to which we are intentional about being healthy. We are intentional about the things that we are eating. We are intentional about working out and exercising. We are intentional about making sure that our physical bodies are receiving the things that it needs to thrive. We're doing the things that are necessary to assure that our bodies are operating in peak performance. There's a lot of things that our bodies are designed to do. Our bodies are designed to heal itself. Our bodies have the chemicals and the substances in it to give us what we need. For example, most of us come home and we want to have a glass of wine to relax. Well, our bodies have the capacity to generate that response as well if we are making sure that we are feeding it and giving it what it needs to operate in peak performance. Are we sleeping enough? Are we taking naps? Are we making sure that we are avoiding those foods that promote depression? For about 6 months at the beginning, when we first got our first office as a practice, I had this assessment that I did that prompted people to get a full vitamin workup from their doctors before we started treatment. We did this for about 6 months. And let me tell you, in that 6-month period, we could have easily put ourselves out of business. I'm going to tell you why. During this time, we were receiving a slew of referrals from women who were coming in with depression, who were coming in with mood regulation issues. I'm happy one minute, I'm upset the next, I'm, angry one minute, laughing hysterically the next, or I'm just feeling down, I'm just not feeling motivated, or I'm tired all of the time and I'm not functional and it's affecting my relationship. I can't think, I can't make a decision. And so we were getting a series of women that were coming in for, similar issues. And I don't want to exaggerate, but I will say it had to be as high as about 80% of the time when these women came back with the results of their workup. I'm talking about their blood work. When they came back that they had major deficiencies in vitamin D. Some of them had issues with their thyroid. It went back to something that their bodies needed that they were deficient in. And so this is why I love VitaWorld. I love VitaWorld. It's I'm here in Orlando for those of you who don't know. And so it's not VitaWorld, it's Vita Lounge. Vita Lounge. Have any of you heard Vita Lounge? And so in Vita Lounge, you could go in there and you can get an injection for the vitamins that your body needs, basically. Now, I'm not a doctor, and this is not a doctor's order, but I know what it has done for my clients. Clients that go in there and get what they need, they're addressing their vitamin B deficiencies, the things that we need to get our brain operating in peak performance. They're getting their vitamin D, in those injections. And so basically, Vita Lounge is addressing the body's need for vitamins in order for it to operate well. And so when we're not feeding our bodies what it needs, it malfunctions. And so your moods malfunction, your perceptions malfunction, your brain processes malfunction. And so it starts with the physical. And what I try to get clients to see when we're trying to assess where the infection is and why they're feeling so blah, why they're feeling so flat, it starts with that. It starts with physical. It starts with, what you're doing intentionally to keep your body well. So that is where it starts. So for those of you who are listening, I want you to give yourself a 1, 2, or 3. The 1 is, I need major help in this area. The 2 is, I'm working on it. I'm getting there. And a 3 is, I'm killing the game in this domain. I am killing the game in this domain. So what do you give yourself for physical, Facebook? Let me know. What do you give yourself for physical? This is the degree to which you are being intentional about your physical wellness, intentional about what you're eating, intentional about sleep, intentional about being preventive in your medical health, in your medical practices, that you're being preventive. You're going to the gynecologist when you need to. You are going to get your eyes checked when you need to. You are going to get your ears checked when you need to. You are making sure that you are stretching every day. You are making sure that you're getting that water intake every day. You are making sure that you're eating the different food groups every day. It is very difficult. This is not my strongest domain. And I know my accountability partner is going to make a comment about me talking about this, but I'm going to be honest, it's not my strongest domain, and it hurts me. It does. It impacts me. When I'm foggy brain, when I don't feel like I can focus, it usually goes back to this domain and not really thriving in it. So that's physical. Beverly Roberts says, aware and getting there. Very good. So would you give yourself a 2, Beverly, in that? So 1 is, help me, I'm drowning, I need help. 2 is, I'm getting there. 3 is, I'm killing the game. All right? And at the end of this process, I want you guys to really count those 1s and count those 2s and count your 3s. And then we're going to make plans to crush goals in those areas. So that's physical. The next domain is intellectual. And I know it may sound like a given, but it really isn't. Intellectual is about the degree to which you are intentional about introducing new ideas into your brain space, okay? Now listen, I love what I do. Love what I do. I love my Tuesdays spending time with you guys. I love my time with my clients and processing with them and seeing them break through and seeing them grow. I love it. I love directing the program that I direct and providing clinical expertise to seeing the clients just blossom. I love being an emotional intelligence expert and teaching business owners on how to thrive through the provision of sight. I love what I do. But I'm going to say this. What I'm doing is not new. Every day I am operating from a pot of skill sets that I already have. So intellectual is literally speaking about how intentional you are about allowing new experiences to enter into your brain space, right? So this is new books, new genre of books, eating dinner in a different place, visiting different countries, different cities if you can't travel. Go outside of the city and do something there. Learn a new language. Learn to play a new instrument. If our brain cells are either dying or multiplying, let me repeat that. Our brain cells are either dying or multiplying. Which one are you? In order to assure that our brain cells are multiplying, we need what? New information, new exposure, new experiences. A lot of the times when we're feeling so flat and so stuck, it's because we need something new. We need a jerk. We need a jump, right? Our brains need a jump. Our brains need new information, new experiences, new encounters. This is what our brains need. We need to be challenged. Some of you need a new social circle. If you're the smartest one in your circle, you need a new circle. If you're the strongest one in your circle, you need a new circle. We need new. We need to be challenged. And this is what this domain is. How intentional are you about that? I always encourage, learn a new language, learn to play an instrument, At times, write with the non-dominant hand. If you're left-handed, write with your right. If you're right-handed, write with your left. Force yourself to do new, because if your brain cells are not multiplying, they are dying. And then you wonder why you don't feel motivated. You feel so stuck. You're not excited about anything. When we're trying to break past stuck, we have to be that basic, and we have to be that intentional. Whether you're trying to break through or not, we should be doing this every day because we love ourselves, because we understand that nobody could do it like us. And I have a responsibility to operate in peak performance. I have the responsibility to the world to be well. I have the responsibility to be well because I owe my gifts to the world. It has nothing to do about me, but my assignment. And each and every one of us has it. Each and every one of us has that assignment and that responsibility to assure that we are being intentional about operating in peak performance in these different domains. So we talked about physical. Are you a 1, 2, or 3? We talked about intellectual. Are you a 1, 2, or 3? Remember, 1 is I need major help. 2 is I'm getting there. And 3 is I'm killing the game. The next is financial. And this is the degree to which you are a good steward over your monies, that you are implementing practices that cause your money to grow, that you are very intentional about security. A lot of the times in this domain, we are assessing legacy, how stable and secure the person is. Before we talk about legacy, we're looking at and measuring security. We are measuring security in this domain. How secure is the person financially? So you have enough saved to cover 9 months of your, of your bills, right? You're safe for 9 months because, and I'm not a financial guru. I'm not declaring at all that I am, but this area, this domain is when and there's a series of questions in each domain, and I would have you guys on here for about 2 hours if we went through it. But basically in the financial domain, we are measuring how well of a steward people are about their income and how much power and control that they have in this area, right? So what does that mean? That means that this is a person that's able to tell you, these are my bills every month, this is the amount. Not detail it. I don't need you to detail it. I need you to tell me that my bills every month are $5,000. My income is $15,000. And this is how much I put toward my savings. And this is what I put toward investing. And this is what I put toward my children's education. This is because in order for us to truly thrive financially, we have to be the CEO of our money. When you are allowing your money to dictate how it is you need to live, then you're living in poverty. We have to be that CEO. We have to be the queen over our finances, the king over our finances. We got to be able to say, this is where this is going, this is where this is going, this is where I need this. We need to be able to tell our money what it needs to do for us. And so when you cannot say, this is how much my bills are every month, and this is my income, this is my disposable income, then you do not have any dominion. You are not operating as the queen or king of your empire. So this is what this area is basically measuring. Marshada says, don't be a slave to money. That's right. You're either leading or you are a slave. It's either one or the other. And so when we are assessing wellness for people who are coming in, then we are looking at what? Physical. We're looking at what? Intellectual. And we're also looking at financial, right? Because although we do not love money, we understand that it is a resource for freedom. It is a resource for dominion. It can put us in a position where we are helping others, where we are serving our communities, where we are serving our assignments. It is a resource, and we have to be able to have control and power over it. All right, so we are measuring security, how secure a person is. We are measuring how they are stewarding their money, and we're looking at legacy. We're looking at, what they're doing to kind of lay up that security blanket for their children as well, and other generations to come. Are we thinking generationally? When you're looking and you are satisfied at just meeting your bills this month, and there's nothing wrong with thanking God for the provision, but when you start thinking that small, you are not operating in the overflow. And if you're not thinking in overflow, if you don't have an abundance mindset, you can never expect it to come. You can never expect prosperity and abundance to come into your emotional space if you are not operating in an abundance mindset. And if you are okay with just being able to do enough for yourself, you will never be able to think abundantly, and so cannot expect abundance to come into your space. And so again, that's financial. The next domain is occupational. Remember, for each domain, you're giving yourself a 1 or 2 or 3. 1, I need help. I need help now. 2 is I'm getting there. 3 is I'm killing the game. So the next is occupational, and this is the degree to which we are operating in jobs, in our careers, whatever is earning us money, that it is the degree to which we are allowing our unique gifts, qualities, abilities, and talents to flow in what we are doing. That's occupational. So if you are making great money and hate what you are doing, you are in the front of the line to death. You're in the front of the line to death. Because no matter how good the money is, if you are not flowing in your unique qualities, then that means that you are not doing what you are designed to do. Anytime you are using something outside of its intended use, that is the definition of abuse. So if I stand on the chair that I'm sitting on right now to change the light bulb, then I'm abusing this chair because it wasn't designed to be stood on. It was designed to be sat in. And so we have to think about ourselves that way. We were all designed with a specific intention, with a specific purpose, a specific assignment. And when you are operating outside of that, you are just existing. We need to assure that we are doing what we were designed to do. And that in itself is medicine. When you're doing what you love, and when you're doing what you were assigned to do, that is medicine. There is so much breakthrough in being able to do that. Listen, there are times when I will go to work stuffy and sneezing and leave rejuvenated. Why? Because I am doing what I am designed to do. I am flowing in God's anointing, and there is so much healing and freedom in doing what you were created to do. Now, there are some people who do not find financial stability in doing the things that they love and they are sure that they were created to do. So they have the job at the bank, they have their 9 to 5 that helps them to stay financially stable, and then they have these other opportunities, other streams of income where they're able to really flow in their gifts. And if that's you, then great. And if that's working for you, great. Because at least you still have an outlet. But I will say this for those of you who are holding on to that 9 to 5, and I'm not going to tell you to leave that, but I will say this: God gave us our gifts. God gave us our gifts. He gave us those abilities. And he did that with the intention of us to be able to sustain life flowing in them. So operating in your gift should bring you the six-figure salary. God gave it to us for us to be able to not only serve the world, but sustain life and to do it in prosperity. So you may need some help on how to monetize it so that you could leave your 9 to 5. And help is out there for you to get that support, for you to monetize your gifts, where you don't have to do the 9 to 5 anymore. You could be fully functional and flowing in your gifts. I can stay there forever, so I'm going to move on. So you got to give yourself a 1, 2, or 3 in the area of occupational. Either 1, I need major help. 2, I'm getting there. And 3, I'm killing the game. Marjorie says, I'm killing the game in occupational. Love it. She says, I love what I'm doing. I'm not making good money, but I love my job. So I'm not making good money is an issue. It's an issue. Because we are called to be prosperous, to be the head, to be lenders, to be above, right? So when things are not lining up with what God declares in his word for us, that's a problem. It's got to line up. So let's make it line up. We got to figure ways to make it line up. All right, Marshada says 2. I'm getting there. Awesome. Social. So again, remember, we're giving ourselves a 1, 2, or 3. 1, help. 2, I'm getting there. 3, I'm killing the game. So social is, it depends on 2 different things, okay? 2 different things, 2 different areas. The first is the degree to which you are aligned with people that are making deposits into your life, right? So in life, there are builders and there are breakers. And it sounds kind of negative because builders sounds like positive people and breakers sound like negative people. But it really is people who are making deposits and people who are making withdrawals. That's builders and breakers, okay? Builders are people that are making deposits and breakers are people that are withdrawing. We love our children, right? We would never want to call them breakers. They're our kids. But they are breakers because they make what? Withdrawals. They are making withdrawals. Mom, at 11 o'clock at night when you come home from work, son wants tilapia and rice. That's a withdrawal. I love my clients. That's a withdrawal. I love what I'm doing right now. But you know what's happening right now? There's a withdrawal. I have experiences that allow me to sit here and share with you. There's blood, sweat, and tears behind my ability to sit here and impart into you for free. That there was a cost to that. It may be free to you, but it was not free to me. So this is a withdrawal, right? So we have to see life that way. And when you have people in your life that you can't truly identify that, well, they don't necessarily deposit, they really don't take away, again, it's either they're building or they're killing. People who just cause you to remain stagnant are literally, they're withdrawing. If you're not building me, you can only be breaking me. Does that make sense? And so we have to be intentional about aligning ourselves with people who are making those deposits. And especially those of us who are in a line of work or our life role or our assignment in this earth is about pouring out. That means that we need enough builders the deposit has to be greater than the withdrawal. It's simple math, right? You get it. It's simple math. What happens when the withdrawals are higher than the deposit? You go into what? Please tell me, somebody. What happens when the withdrawal is greater than the deposit? I'm waiting. You go into insufficient funds, right? You go into NSF. And so a lot of us are walking around with negative accounts because we do not have the support that we need to absorb the withdrawals. So in the social section, in this domain, it's about truly assessing who those builders are and how much time are you spending with those builders? Because for a long time, I was able to say who my builders were. My builders are Loren Joseph. She's my mentor. Love her. Another builder, Colleen Otero. Oh my God. Every time I sit with her, I get it. Every time I sit with Colleen, I walk out feeling like $1,000,000. I was able to say that. Valerie Cartwright, one of my besties, definitely a builder, major deposits. Shauna Hemmerline, one of my besties. I speak with her. She's making deposits. I could go on and on. Don't kill me if I didn't say your name. I'm flowing here, okay? And so I could name them, but I was still feeling broken because I wasn't spending the adequate time with them. So you have to be intentional about aligning yourself with those people and spending time with them and being unapologetic about pulling and gleaning from them, because that is their role in your life in that season. So who are your builders? Who are your breakers? And how are you being intentional about maximizing the builders in your life? Jean Perpelant says, haven't thought about interactions this way, deposits or withdrawals, and being insufficient. Simple, but so profound. It is. Listen, I love the fact that I have a degree and I'm credentialed from Florida State University. But listen, a lot of times it really is not that complicated. We just don't do it. And because we don't do it, then it becomes really complicated. Because it causes sickness, it causes confusion. We're not thriving. We're not prospering. It's very simple at times, but behavior is very difficult to change. And so we end up stuck and end up in these behavioral patterns. So that is social. The other aspect of social is the degree to which we are intentional about engaging in leisure and recreation. The degree to which we are intentional about engaging in leisure and recreation. I love to crochet, can't remember the last time you did. I love to go to the beach, can't remember the last time you did. I love dance. When I used to take dancing classes, can't remember the last time you took dancing classes. I love mudding. Can't remember the last time you went mudding. I love fishing. Can't remember. Time out for that. We have to understand that if we don't do it for ourselves, we cannot expect anybody else to do it for us. It's just not gonna happen. And it's almost like I remember when I was young, I would not eat until my father got home. I just wouldn't eat. I was a bone. And I would not eat until my father got home. And so if he came home late, I was eating late. And if he got home and I was already sleeping, then I didn't eat that day. There was nothing like being fed from my father. I'm about to cry. I don't know where that emotion came from. But anyway, there was nothing like being fed by my father. And so the point that I'm trying to make here, there's nothing like caring and doing for yourself. There is no care that can equate to the care that you give yourself. There is no love that can equate to the love that you give yourself. And so being intentional about leisure and recreation and prioritizing that is huge. So in social, do you give yourself a 1, a 2, or a 3? Talk to me, Facebook. Are you giving yourself a 1, 2, or 3 in the area of social? The next domain is emotional. And I gotta move quick because oh Lord, you guys know. Especially those of you who know me, like, okay, these are supposed to be like 15, 20-minute segments, by the way, guys. It's just like, but I get so passionate. I love what I do. Hell, when people ask me, oh, your skin is so smooth, what do? I do what I love to do. I do what I love to do. So it keeps me beautiful and young, and it keeps me happy. And it keeps God happy too, because he wants me to be happy. All right. So, emotional. This is the degree to which you are being, Marjorie says, my family is awesome. I have wonderful friends. She gives herself a 3 in the area of social. Awesome. Any other numbers? So in emotional, this is the degree to which you are operating in awareness. You cannot be emotionally well if you're in your blind spot. I'm going to let that marinate. You cannot be emotionally well if you are in your blind spot. So emotional wellness is the degree to which you are aware of the emotional growth potential areas that you have. and you are intentional about overcoming those things. If your emotional issues are grounded in your need for immediate gratification, that's an issue. Low self-esteem, that's an issue. Battling with depression, that's an issue. Your thoughts don't align with what the word says about you, that's an issue. And so in this emotional area, in this domain, it's the degree to which you are operating in awareness. You are not in your blind spot, and you're doing the things that you need to overcome those EGPs, emotional growth potentials, right? And so you're going to therapy, you have coaching, you're reading books, you're learning why you think the way that you think, you are learning why you're so explosive in your anger. This is what emotional wellness is about. Marie-Dominique Toussaint says, the love for your field is almost palpable. Keep glowing. Thank you so much. I love what I do. I love what I do. Guess what? It took a whole lot of crushing to get here, though. A whole lot of crushing to get here. And we have to learn to embrace the crushing. You gotta learn to embrace the crushing, because after that crushing, there's only one thing that can come out of it, and that's some fine wine, honey. Some fine wine, okay? And it doesn't stop. You know, then the devil gets a little, and then starts crushing in other places. And it's okay, because it's a fixed fight. So back to emotional. Being aware of those areas that you need to grow in, not operating in your blind spot, and being intentional about it. I hear people say, oh, I know I'm selfish, but you know, but you know what? So is that okay? It's okay for you to just be selfish? Oh yeah, God loves you just the way you are, but he loves you too much to leave you the same. It's not okay to just be okay with just being stank and being selfish. You know, like I know who I am. I know who I am. Well, good that you know who you are. But if knowing who you are is accepting those areas that you know you need to grow in, and you're not being intentional about it, that's a problem. Give yourself a 0. Not even a 1. Schellie says give yourself a 0. Because it's not fair that everybody has to deal with the fact that you haven't dealt with your emotional injury. You haven't dealt with the rape. You haven't dealt with the molestation. So you are allowing that emotional injury to just sprinkle wherever you go. Misery, depositing misery wherever you go. Your children are miserable. Your husband is miserable. Or your wife is miserable. Or you're blowing up all over the place. And your business cannot prosper because you have not been intentional about healing the injury. So the emotional domain is the degree to which you're being intentional about overcoming. 1, 2, or 3. The next is familial, another domain. And in the family domain, it's basically the degree to which your family interactions are harmonious and intentional. You know what? Nobody else is planning family reunions. If you realize that, like, you know what? It would be nice for us to do that. Like when you see it on Facebook and you have this idea that would be cool if we did that. Then guess what? That means that you just became the organizer, because the download was downloaded into you. You be the organizer of the family reunion. You be the organizer of the Thanksgiving dinner. You be the organizer of getting everybody together for Easter for a family picture. The degree to which our interactions with family members are harmonious and intentional. Weddings are expensive. Funerals are expensive. Picking up the phone costs us little to nothing. How connected are we staying, and how connected are we with family members? How are we maintaining those connections so our family reunions are not standing over a casket? That hits home for me even now, especially after having just buried my aunt. Familial. That is the degree to which our interactions with our family members are harmonious and intentional. Marjorie says, I'm terrible at planning. I have no comment, boo-boo. You know how I feel about that. You are no longer the committee chair for anything. Just nothing. Just come and smile. Don't plan a thing. The next is spiritual. It's our last domain. And, sometimes when I'm doing this with clients, they will automatically say, well, I don't have I don't believe in God, or, I don't believe in religion. And, this is not necessarily related to those concepts. Spiritual is the degree to which you are living in alignment with what you say you believe. Sounds simple, right? It sounds simple, like you think that adultery is wrong, but you're dating a married man. You're saying that, you believe that we should serve people, but you're not doing so. Or, it's just, the degree to which you're just aligned and you're not living a hypocritical life, and that you're saying that this is my morals, these are my moral standards, these are my values, and the degree to which you're living in that. Sometimes I once had multiple interactions with someone that had a major issue with Christianity, a major issue with it. And it's like, okay, well, you're sitting here and every time I talk to you, you want to talk about what this pastor's not doing, what this, this pastor that was on TV and how he fell and how he publicly fell and how he was publicly exposed and all that. What is it that you believe? You're sitting here spending all this time criticizing all these different religions and all these different pastors. What is it that you believe? Well, I believe that church doesn't have to be within the four walls of any building. You can invite people into your house and break bread and sit with the Bible, and that's church. Great! Do you do that? Is that what you're doing? Do you invite your boys into your house and do that? Or your friends and family and do that? If that is what you believe, what do you believe, and how firm and flat-footed do you stand in that? That's what the spiritual domain is about. And truth be told, there are a lot of people that declare certain things and certain belief systems, but you're not necessarily operating it. So shut up about mine. Shut up about mine. Let me fast, and if you think I'm killing myself, then that's your problem. I really don't care. Let me fast. Let me serve. Let me call Jesus Christ Lord and Savior. I'm not talking to you about your stuff. I'm standing flat-footed on what I believe. Are you? Are you? So the spiritual domain is about alignment. Alignment. So give yourself a 1, 2, or 3. Just the degree to which you're aligned. You think sex before marriage is wrong, and you're having sex and you're in a 1. And let's resolve that dissonance, that incongruence, that lack of alignment. So going back to the question, so this woman is saying, I just kind of feel blah. I feel a little lost. I don't have any motivations. So we go through this wellness assessment. We start looking at the different areas that need help. I also want to say to this person who wrote in and said, I'm just kind of feeling blah, understand that therapy is important for you, because I don't know your history. I don't know what has gone on in your life. But think of life like a hose, like a water hose, right? And when there's a kink in that hose, the water does not flow freely. And so think about your entire life from birth to right now. And what are those things, those experiences, that trauma, any encounter that may have caused a kink? Whether you think it's resolved or not, I'm not asking you to diagnose whether it's resolved or not, but just what are those things? Because we can create a whole lifeline and have several of those kinks. Many of those kinks. I have a kink. I've talked about this before. It makes no sense. I have no idea why it's a kink. I was like 5 years old. My mom came home and she was going to go shopping. I wanted to go shopping with her. And she's like, okay, go into the room and get your favorite dress and I'll be waiting for you outside. So when my mom used to work so hard that, I didn't see her much. And so when I finally would see her and she would leave, I would literally wrap my legs around her ankles so she wouldn't leave. And it was like this big scene every time she would need to leave the house. And so she did that because she didn't want the scene. She didn't want the crying and me wrapping my legs around her ankles. So I run into my room, I pick out this beautiful dress, and we're gonna go to Key Food. How many New Yorkers know about Key Food? We were gonna go to Key Food and then we're gonna go to Gals, shout out to Elmont. And she left. What she doesn't know is that when she left, when I heard the car come on, I had my dress halfway on. I run outside. I'm gonna cry right now. I run outside and I chase the car down for blocks. I couldn't even get back home because I didn't know where I was. That is it's one of my kinks because it has caused a lifetime of trust issues with my mom. It's just this little tiny thing. And so we have to be careful when we start to assess what those kinks are because it could be the smallest thing. And so what I do is I encourage people for weeks to add to their list of kinks. And we take this journey together and we stop at each kink to really assess the emotional injury, how that contributed to how you think and feel, how it's contributed to how you engage with the opposite sex or how you engage with your parents and your children. And it's an amazing process. It really is. So I really encourage you, this writer, to give yourself your ones, your twos, your threes. Really examine your ones and twos. Get therapy. Let's take a look at that life holes and those kinks and start being, very intentional about addressing them. And as we address them, we unkink it. And then we address the next one and we unkink it until the water starts to flow like fresh, living waters. I say this all the time. One of the most powerful forces that guide the way we think and the way that we behave is unresolved emotional injury. The fact that you do not think that issue was traumatic because you don't classify it as trauma doesn't mean that it wasn't traumatic. It doesn't matter what you think it was. Your brain is going to respond to it in a different way. So sometimes we say something wasn't hurtful or it wasn't traumatic because we don't think it, but because it was, your brain and your emotions are responding to it without involuntarily. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter that you're okay with your grandfather touching you because he was drunk. It doesn't change the fact that you were molested and that your brain is going to respond to that as such, as trauma, whether you think you're a victim or not. Emotional injury will do what it's designed to do, and it is designed to become a malignant tumor. So if you don't do anything about it, it will continue to spread and manifest in ways that you could never imagine. That is what therapy is about. Taking those malignant tumors and taking them out of your emotional space to give you the health that you need. I will say this, I don't like to diagnose on these lives, but I will say that a lot of times when people are feeling blah, what they are experiencing is something called apathy, and apathy is a manifestation of depression. So I'm sensing some low-level depression, maybe a little bit higher than low, and that's what therapy is for. You don't have to self-diagnose. Get the help that you need. 407-350-5070. You can visit with me at www.askschellie.com. Email your questions to info@askschellie.com. And I am so happy that you have tuned in. Oh, we have a question. Any thoughts on EMDR to address issues? So EMDR is a therapeutic intervention that was initially or historically used to resolve trauma. And it was a way to kind of address the brain's response to trauma, which is injury. and thank God for revolution. Like it really helped to revolutionize psychotherapy, because we had these children that were victims of trauma, and they were responding in ways that didn't look like trauma. So they were getting diagnosed with ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, and getting all these medications when the issue was unresolved trauma. And trauma causes brain injury, and brain injury causes what? Over responses in our emotional areas, under responses in our emotional areas, an inability to think and consequentially think, not having bilateral operation of our brain. And so EMDR is a way to bilaterally stimulate our brains and to address the injury and to reprogram our brains about what we think about this injury. Basically, we're going to re-educate our brain. We're going to create new associations in our brain to address this trauma. So when you say, Marie, what are my thoughts? Marie-Dominique Toussaint. I can't say just one. I have to say the whole name. So what do I think of EMDR? I love the intervention. I'm not EMDR trained, but if anybody wants to pay the $1,500 that it will require for me to do so, I'd love for you to. That was bad. No, it really isn't. But no, I do want to do it. It really is not necessarily the money. It's really more just like the time. I would love to become EMDR certified. So right now I have a team of consultants, other therapists who are EMDR trained. So as soon as I start to feel like somebody needs that, I will go ahead and connect them with one of the therapists or in my network that is EMDR certified. I think it's amazing. It's now being used for grief and anxiety, and there's been great reviews about the success rate as it relates to using EMDR for things outside of trauma, like what I just said, grief and anxiety. And so I believe that it is a very effective intervention, especially when you're going with someone who's certified and knows what they're doing. Very good question. If you want more information, I have articles that I share with family members when they have to make a decision if this is the best route that they're going to go for themselves. I think that it's the articles are amazing. You can email me at info@askschellie.com if you want to know more about EMDR. Thank you for your question. Awesome. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this week's Ask Schellie segment. Make sure that you are grading your own paper. Grade your own paper. And make sure that we are breaking through together. It is a choice. I will see you next Tuesday at 12 o'clock. Thank you again for your support. Thank you for tuning in.